morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. My name is Blaize. Blaize, the author on social media platforms. I'd like to come to you today to talk about my book, Truthingdom, the conception and the revelation. It's a two-part series where I talk about a lot of my life experiences and professional experiences in the workplace with young people, enabling and helping people in need. I want to address the meanings and the messages within the book. So I wanted to utilize this opportunity to do so. My book was initially published in 2018. However, due to personal circumstances or personal loss, I was unable to promote my books at that time. And shortly after, there was another situation that presented many challenges. So I would like to take this time now to promote my first book. Well, let's try and get this lighting right. Truthingdom. Oh, I'm not getting the lighting right. Bear with me. Truthingdom, the conception and the revelation. So this is by me, Blaize, published in 2018 and available on Amazon. Okay. The eye is quite distinctive, so I'm hoping you'll be able to get it from there. And I'll start at the beginning of the book, and I'll work my way through reading different excerpts from the book and then talking about the meanings and the reasons why afterwards. So I'll start. The silence was deafening. The air stood still. She listened intently, drawing warm air erratically through a quilt pressing below her moistened nose. Her eyes were piercing into the darkness like an eagle targeting her prey at night. She could hear steady footsteps softly approaching her room door. They stopped. She listened. Adrenaline was now pumping fiercely above her nostrils. Her eye sockets were bulging with fear, strained with fear, dread and panic. Her fingers ached as she gripped the quilt tightly, hugging it against her cheeks. The door slowly opened. She was able to distinguish a huge figure moving towards her, engulfing the space around it. She could feel paralysis slowly creeping from her ankles up towards her shins. Consumed with fear and feelings of entrapment and despair, she closed her eyes. Warm tears seeped across her face. She was now conscious of shallow, irregular breathing, which quickened as the silhouette drew near. She could now feel sharp, short breaths close to her lips. His hands stroked her thighs, then quickly travelling up towards her bosom. In repulsion, she turned her head away, trying to transport herself to another time and place. Her pillowcase was now soaked with tears, and she was aware that she was pressing against the wall adjacent to her bed. Tia jerked violently, arching her back whilst thrusting her head onto its crown. Her chin pointed upward towards the ceiling, her body doused in sweat. She drew her body forward, squinting as the sunlight pierced her eyes. She looked around and sighed anxiously, thumping her clenched fists into her bed covers. She had been dreaming about the past again, circumstances that she had been desperately trying to forget, to obliterate completely. "You hungry, T?" Archie called from the stove where he was preparing scrambled eggs coated in melted butter, which mingled with the aroma of fried bacon rashers. Tia's flat was part of a loft conversion at the top of a 3-story townhouse in Pimlico. She shared the studio flat with another student called Archie, who was one of Tia's links back in the day. "Nah," Tia replied. "I can't face food this early in the morning." She drew on the cigarette she had just lit. Her cheekbones sunk into her face, creating hollows as she pulled smoke deep into her windpipe. She felt the nicotine rush as the smoke hit the back of her throat. She then turned her attentions to new beginnings. As today was her first day at the most prestigious and illustrious fashion arts college in London. She had imagined what it might be like, who would be there, and whether she would like it. She sprung up from the couch, which doubled up as a sofa bed, and headed towards the window. Yes, a very interesting opening chapter. There is more in that chapter. I read perhaps a third of the chapter. But ideally, I wanted to talk to you about what you felt was happening in that scene. What did you feel was happening in that scene? Can you identify with it? And if so, what feelings did that bring about for you? How did you feel about that? Were you able to identify with it? And if so, what happened? What did you do about that? Were you able to speak to somebody? As a health professional, social worker myself, working in child protection for many, many years, I heard these types of incidences that were happening to people, to young people, and listening to the helplessness and the hopelessness that they felt or feel even now. Just wanting to know, from another perspective, are you somebody that a young person can approach? Are you concerned about the presentation of any young people? And do you feel able to be an enabler, an empowerer, somebody that they can go to, somebody that they can come to discuss issues that might be of concern to them? In our community today, which is so tough, riddled with this COVID-19, that is creating more isolation and less inclusion, what concerns do you have about a young person's inability then to share their experiences with an external person who could be their rescuer, who could be the one individual that might spare them from their circumstances at this moment in time? I wrote this book to enable young people to, also as a toolbook for teachers, for social workers, for people within social disciplines that we work within our communities, so that they can ideally work more closely with young people, utilize the book in order to teach young people. Oh gosh, I've got problems showing this, and I'm really sorry, but you can get the book on Amazon. There you go. Truthingdom, the conception and the revelation. I'm struggling. I'm not the best at social media, and I will say this, but the conception by Blaize. Each week I will be coming to you with an excerpt to read and be talking about how it is that we can help and enable young people, and how we can utilize the book within schools, colleges, first year social work students, to talk about the issues that they will come across in some of the most pressured teams in the system. Many social workers, for example, who qualify are really desperately needed in front door teams, in social services, or children at nursery school, and it's so important to be able to discuss these issues and be able to relate and talk to young people about how they are able to share their concerns, to be able to approach a young person, to see signs of abuse. This is one of the reasons, like I say, I wrote the book, so that it can bring these issues more to light. There are 5 characters in all in the book. This particular character is called Tia, mixed race young person. But then, is mixed race a good term to use? I'd raised several mixed race young people in my role as a private foster carer for many years. And they wanted different things. They wanted to be identified as different things, biracial, caste, half caste was just not said. And I can understand why. It's totally inappropriate. They're not animals that you breed. They're human beings, they're children. So biracial, mixed race. I mean, what names were you comfortable with? Let's talk about it. Please comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I will respond. It's important because as a community, we come to learn and understand what barriers, prevent children from growing, from being able to express themselves fully. What circumstances are they in that we can help them with as enablers, or even in terms of allowing them and encouraging them to speak their truth? Yeah, it's part of the reasons I wrote this book. So initially I spoke about the first character. I've got another 4 to introduce. And what I'll try to do is go through the book systematically, introducing each character, and wanting you to get copies of the book, so that, when I open up a forum to talk about the issues presenting in the book with these 5 different characters, and I'll talk about each one as I go. As I say, with Tia is a mixed race young person who has issues with her identity as well as historical sexual abuse. And these are 2 very main issues prevalent in our community today that we need to talk about and enable young people to do the same. So join me for the next episode, where I'll be reading and introducing another character. Sorry about this. So here I am, back again. At work is what we do. I work with young people even now. And that was one of them calling up just to tell me he'll be home shortly. So hopefully, I'm really hoping that we will be able to continue to explore the issues presented in this book. Until the next time, take care. Bye.